Shalom, shalom, shalom. Call hello Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, and of course, double honors going out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, who through the Holy Spirit continue to give us His truth. This is Naaman of the DC camp. And salutations to all the other brethren out there across the four corners, pushing this truth with all honesty and sincerity. All right, trying to wake up the remaining, hopefully, elect. All right. So, a lot of people have been asking the last few years, well, damn, hard pressed to see a bee of any kind. What the hell's going on? Well, leave it up to the abominable Dr. Esau. And here we come to find out that, yeah, he's up to his old tactics. And I said it like that. Yeah, okay. But it's not funny when you find out what this devil, and that's the reason we call him a devil. All right? You finding out what, through this video, what he has actually been doing and how he is trying to extend his rule in doing so. All right? You know, there's a balance within nature. Turns out it's a finer balance than you might think. This devil knows this, so it doesn't take much to throw everything out of kilter. All right? So here's how this devil did it. Let's continue with the video.
Millimeter 60 hertz frequency, and the
Changing the frequencies.
System, actually, not just the human system, on any living system, and it's been completely ignored. So, looking at just some of the fundamental aspects of what this,
and this is why people aren't paying attention, because these are the finer, the minute little details no one's paying attention to, and it turns out this is going to bite everybody in the ass. All right.
energetic system does, what this radio frequency electromagnetic fields do. And they have an impact on all living things, no matter whether it's 1G, 2G, 3G, I won't say beyond that. But regardless of what level,
You know why he didn't say that?
Of an impact on physiology.
Are you is it starting to click now what's going on here? All right, you know, he said 1G, 2G, 3G, and he said, I'm not going beyond that. What's been in the news the last few years? All right, them changing up things. In fact, they just, with most things, I know to do with cell phones, they just, coming up here, they're phasing out 3G altogether. Why? Because, now they'll tell you one thing, but we all know that that's not the entire case. He'll give you a little truth, just so you'll take the bait, all right, and not pursue it any further. But we know others are complaining about, well, this is going to affect air traffic and whatever else. They're afraid because this is something that's new, and they're already talking about 6G. All right, so that's why he didn't want to go into it, because you got to be careful, and this should let you know that you're not free. You got to be careful about what you're saying now. That includes this so-called, well, the scamdemic that's been going on the last couple of years, all right? And some more things going on here. They don't want to talk about it. Agreements have been made. The owner of Facebook, I call him the Toy Man, because that's what he looks like, from Justice League, and others, they've got, what do you call it, especially on YouTube and other social media, they've got algorithms. All right, you can't, you get a specific word out there and it'll shut you down. Anybody that's had their sites shut down or suspended or whatever have you, you should know this by now. And this is sad. If you think you're free, you got some problems. Continuing on.
But the most recent version of it creates some very noticeable metabolic changes, and these changes have an impact not only on the immune system, but also on the cell membrane integrity.
How about the animal and plant kingdom and the environment? How has that been affected?
This is
Listen to this.
a major problem because when you look at the DNA inside our genes, the four bases of the DNA are exactly the same in every single living species, everyone. So if you're doing something which damages humans, it's going to damage every single living plant, every single living animal. And we are now finding that the animals that are most susceptible to this, namely the pollinating insects because of their size and their vibrational frequency, we are now finding that countries that rely on pollinating insects are running short of food. We are finding...
Do any of you out there believe that this is by accident? If you do, just quit watching this, go and grab what you need to grab and go blow your brains out. If you're that fucking stupid, all right? That's what it feels like sometimes. You people so fucking stupid. You believe anything that this devil tells you. You take it as gospel. Once more proving this is a lot of people's demigod. The so-called white man. I want you to take this. This is, and knowing this is like high school, like skill level as far as medicine. But you think this is so unattainable because you look at these people, these doctors, or anybody in the medical profession, as deities. As if you can't go and look up this stuff yourself, but you got so taken up and in by that, all right, you fell for it. There was no reason the so-called new technology. No, they had ulterior motives from the jump. See, what you fail to realize, this whole system needs to change in order for them to extend their rule. What I mean by that is, we've been slaves on paper and to paper for so long, all right? It's old, it's antiquated. It can only go so far with that. You're my goyim, you're my cattle. I've got to, therefore the mark has to be, the hold has to be deeper than what it is. Something you can't do away with. What are we talking about? Use your noggin. Now you've been changed at a cellular level. This is something you can't undo. But a lot of you got so caught up in being inconvenienced, which is what they wanted you to be. You turned on the people that said, hold on, wait a minute, something's not right. So your rationality, meaning you weren't able to reason as ordinary because you got caught up in the sauce, you know. It's really so simple. And a lot of people, as I say that, you prove just how simple that you were, despite your so-called education, proving that that's all bullshit. It's all glitter, you know. Nothing's ever going to beat common sense. What do we always tell you? The scripture. Let's get it real quick. All right. For our people, this is what we always tell you. As soon as it loads, we're going to go to Sirach. 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy. Who's always been our enemy? That's a lot of your problems. You don't recognize your enemy as you should. Why? Because of that drug that was given to you since you were very little, and it's called religion, and specific Christianity, that taught our people while they're getting their heads beaten in, while they're getting lynched, while they're getting castrated, while they're getting raped, buck broken, whatever have you. All the while they're telling you to love your enemy, knowing that's not what that meant. All right? That you can always be successful. You just have to work a little harder. Well, no one can work harder than a slave. And yet, what do we have? Nothing. Everybody that comes over here as an immigrant rises above us. That's Deuteronomy 28 and 43 through 45. All right? The stranger getting up amongst us, getting up over us, very high. That's what that's talking about. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Meaning is iron always going to rust? The wicked is always going to be the wicked. And yes, it's talking about the so-called white man. He is the wicked. Let's go back to the video.
That animals are becoming sick. In short, we are destroying the entire planet because we are ruining the crops, we're ruining the animals, we are ruining the atmosphere. I cannot think.
No, you are. Not we, you are. This is why you have to go. Because the planet can't take much more. We can't take much more. We are worn out. All right? So you got to go. The only common denominator in all of this is you, so-called white man. You, the nation of Edom.
Looking back in history of a single organization as the communications industry that is causing and will cause more destruction on this planet and more suffering and more death than all of the world wars there have ever been added up.
Damn.
Because it reaches every single country.
There's so many things that we don't even understand yet, how it affects the human system. Or whenever I say
Then
human
why
system,
is it
I mean
allowed?
all living systems. It's definitely going to affect.
Why is it allowed? That's why a lot of you are not asking the right questions. Why is this being allowed if you don't understand it? You don't understand the potential consequences long term. Why? We keep telling you why. Because they need to establish, they're hurrying up trying to establish this new world order because they know they have but a short time. Revelation 12 and 12. He sees the signs. A lot of you are so caught up in your little mundane existence, you don't. We trying to tell you, but you as long as I got a job, you know, and whatever, you know, a lot of you, a whole lot of you deserve what's coming to you.
All life on the planet, because you're talking about a radio frequency electromagnetic field that's going to envelop the entire planet, and it's a global microwave technology. Essentially, it's just throwing off the entire magnetic grid of the Earth's essence. The human frequency that the Earth resonates with, you can think of it as the pulse of the planet. It's being disrupted, and you know, now you're talking about other implications that could be not just how it's going to affect life, but what it's going to do to weather patterns, what it's going to do to the morphological structure and the configuration of the planet itself. So you know, you're going to start seeing more natural disasters. You saw the footage with the sloughing off in Norway.
I gotta get it. I got to go there. I got to go there. This is hey. Oh man. This is Psalms. 82 and 5. They know not, neither will they understand. You see this motherfucker talking about they don't understand the long-term significance of what they're doing? They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. That's what he's talking about. Everything's out of course. Everything down to the sexes. Men want to be women. Women want to be men. Men are changing themselves into women. Women are changing themselves, or trying to. It's never going to work. But they're getting butchered anyway. And then down the road, they want to undo it. Something, you know. This devil got to go.
Of 2,000 feet by 500 feet right into the ocean, you're going to start seeing all sorts of landslides like this. You're going to see earthquakes. There's been more earthquakes occurring. You're going to see all sorts of other natural disasters starting to increase because we're disrupting the Earth's magnetic grid.
Is there proof? And it is a very simple answer. The answer is yes. In fact, there is quite a lot of it. In fact, there is an enormous amount. The proof really came out with a document I have here, and this particular document was the most top secret document at its time, realizing that microwaves cause a lot of damage to water-based bodies. The United States Defense Intelligence Agency published this document, which was circulated to all governments, all Western governments. And it says, what we will look at for our safety standard, we will not take the level at which microwaves interact with the cellular processes in the body. And for an adult, there are around 4,500 different biological processes that can be affected. It's 4,050 in a child. They said, we won't look at that level. We will choose a level up here that gives us total freedom. And it is the one used today for all of the cell.
So all they did was move the marker up. This motherfucker, boy. You just can't win.
Phones, even the Tetra Airwave system. And it is 6 minutes of warming. That's it. The total safety level is 6 minutes of heating. In other words, if you don't feel too warm in 6 minutes, then it's okay. And that's it. And this is why we have all of this trouble. And it is why country after country are now finding they have leukemia clusters, cancer clusters, all sorts of problems going on. But it's this one piece of paper that triggered everything off. The program, after this was put out, it is called, by governments, it is called active denial.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they deny everything. Now, leading up to this, and this takes some believing, to reach this stage, there were lots of experiments on lots of people without their knowledge. In just 40 years, and this is documented, in 40 years, 500,000 people were tested without their knowledge, many to the point of death. They chose military personnel because military personnel are fit, they're active, and they make good case studies. They chose students, psychiatric patients, the poor, children over the age of 4, pregnant women, and of course anybody else that they decided to experiment on. In 1986, at a top secret conference, a US weapons center, a gentleman made a speech, and he said, concerning the microwaves, he said, we can change the behavior of cells, tissue, whole whole organisms have a 6 times higher fetus mortality, cause birth defects, and induce cancer in human cells. That is the result of their research. Again, in a top secret course between 2001 and 2007, course number 11, students, these would be scientists, will be familiar with current knowledge. That is, cancer, memory, brain function, damage to the eye, skin, and birth defects can be caused by this radiation. And that is borne out in this document, the one I said is most dangerous, because apart from the top line here, all of the rest of this are illnesses which you can expect to get if you are exposed to radiation. And it says here, exposed to microwave radiation below thermal effects. In other words, below the safety level. And then they list all of the psychiatric problems and all of the physical problems. Some of them they describe as severe neuropathological symptoms. This is a...
How often have the apostles suggested that what's going to happen once they go full tilt with this 5G? They don't even know to the extent the damage that's going to be done.
Top secret document, biological effects on health hazards, microwave irradiation. They specifically say here this is radio frequency microwave irradiation. And they have, this particular document was 350 pages. Similarly, the Naval Medical Research Institute, a very highly regarded research laboratory service, again United States, they talk about altered menstrual activity for ladies and fetal development problems. And they say here it is attributed to microwave and radio frequency radiation. There were several top secret studies, 13, and some of them used hundreds and thousands of people. And this one here is the National Security Advisors. And with one of them, they were taken to court. The government were taken to court, and this was MK Ultra, the top secret. Usually, the microwave ones begin with the letters MK. And it says, although the shocking details of medical ethics abuses by the US and Canadian governments were amply detailed, Washington and Canada, citing national security and government privilege, stalled for so long that cases never came to trial.
I'm going to end it there. Do you see? These motherfuckers don't give a fuck about us. All right? They don't give a fuck. So if any of you still out there, you know, doubting what's going on, you know what? No problem. You just going to have to find out the hard way. All right, so with that, hey, shalom.